Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Profit Minds podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Stephen 𝐾𝐨𝐿, creator of the Profit Minds Growth System, a unique blend of profit growth, productivity acceleration, and building robust business process for scale. In every episode, I interview entrepreneurs and small business owners from around the world with a unique story to tell. You can find the show on YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple and Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and more. Well, hi, everyone. Today, my guest is Neil Twa, CEO and co-founder of Voltage Holdings, a company that specializes in launching, consulting, selling, and acquiring brands with a focus on e-commerce channels. Today, we're going to talk about how to create and grow your own e-commerce company. Welcome, Neil.
Thank you for having me on. Hello.
Yeah, so I start every one of these podcasts with tell me your story. How did you get to here?
Okay, well, I'll try to make it non-boring or something that maybe only my mom is interested in hearing. But in simple, short order, I found the internet, quote unquote, through dial-up when I was 16, visiting my friend's house because he had a computer and we didn't. So my story goes up valleys, peaks, and everywhere else in between, from dropping out of college to try to make it on the internet, to getting into a startup called Sprint PCS, where the mobile phones were launching, to eventually working my way into IBM, which was fun, to starting a series of companies and also crashing a marriage in that process, learning about life in that way, to eventually finding my soulmate and having my beautiful family, but then going bankrupt in the process of making really bad decisions. And not seeing the forest through the trees, and then kind of ending up where I learned all those nice life experiences, got some wisdom out of that, and kind of settled down into the right business model that works for me, which is the e-commerce and physical product businesses that we work on now. Did not go to school to go to school. I went there on a music scholarship. It was a fallback position in a work study program because I actually wanted to go be a fighter pilot in the military, Air Force bound in my senior year. And I got into the initial whatever you call it, qualification stage, went down there and signed up and got into the test. And the first thing they did was put you in the cockpit to see how you fit. And I didn't fit. I was 6'5", 6'5" now. I'm 220 and and I was working out and doing all the things. The problem was all my height was in my waist to my head. So when they put the helmet on, they couldn't close the cockpit. So they're like, sorry, dude, you can't fly. Not this plane. I'm like, really? No. So they're like, hey, you can go fly helicopters or transport planes or all that stuff. And at that point, helicopters would have been cool, but I wasn't in that thought. I just wanted to go fast. So college it was. So the final semester of my senior year, finishing my graduate stuff. We had in Oregon in that time, you had to go and do a 3,000 word essay. You had to go do a speech. You had to do all these things. And I was finishing that up. And so I started applying for music scholarships and writing grants and other things. And I also applied for a work study, and I got approved at $4.25 an hour. Woohoo. Yeah, man, I was really crushing it. And so I got to college and then found out that was not what I wanted to do. That was definitely not something that fit me. I didn't want to go to class. I didn't really learn how to learn. High school was easy for me. I had 3.5, 4.0s, and that was not a problem. But when I got to college, I just realized it just wasn't my gig. It was too constrictive. There was nothing that really worked for me. But then when the internet came online, it was like, woohoo, this is something I can get behind. This is something I can figure out. The problem was, between corporations and academia, nobody knew what they were doing either. So there really wasn't a track. There really wasn't a path. There wasn't anything. And somebody just said, well, maybe you should just get a job until they figure it out. So that's what I did. So I, entered the workforce of the W-2 world without really a purpose other than just to, find the money, find the time, find the knowledge, find whatever. And, eventually knew I was going to get out and become my own entrepreneur. And it took me until 2007 to figure that out. And then I left IBM, burned the boats, and, 18 years later, here I am. So there's a lot in all of that, but I don't want to bore everybody with the the boring long version. But it's been an interesting roller coaster ride. I'm only 49, but I've lived twice, at least so far. I have definitely no regrets about the things I've done, the opportunities I've had, the highs and the lows. I wouldn't change a single thing to get where I'm at now.
So why e-commerce? Why?
Yeah.
How was it that you went from working? Because I worked at IBM too.
Oh, good.
Long time ago.
Yeah.
I left there in '94. So
Well, the world of high tech, leaving from 2007, now has changed dramatically.
Yes.
just in the short time frame I've been out of the game. But basically, I just I always had the idea in my mind that I would work for myself, and I was just using the mechanisms available to me to kind of claw my way up. Um, I didn't foresee where I was headed ultimately. I got into learning about the business of marketing and online and started running mobile campaigns before there was anything related to mobile outside, because I was in the mobile space and got to be the, part of a team that launched the first mobile phone into the market with Sprint. And that startup went insanely fast. I was the 5,000th badged employee in that new startup, and there was 80,000 employees by the time I left 5 years later. So there was this hyper growth situation to see how mobile was overtaking the industry. And so I learned how to do what's called affiliate marketing through mobile advertising. I had all these networks and connections, and so I was running mobile ads on spreadsheets into systems that were being uploaded to phones across the world. And I was basically making kind of an arbitrage affiliate marketing. If I could, sell the lead for $1 and they paid me $5, I was making pretty good money on that, flipping those leads over 1,000 times a day, and got pretty good at that. The problem is I was just trading time for money. I was just doing it in a different way in a nicer area. And I still hadn't got out of that mindset of trading time for money and the billable hours and, construct of that. And I had a consulting business and I was still sort of billing for my time, and really hadn't got into the idea of what I now call almost automated income, the ability to make money while you're sleeping and generating systems and processes that create income all the time, as opposed to me just pushing buttons and showing up somewhere. And I struggled with that for a long time to get past the individual contributor stage that I had come from the W-2 world into more of a self-employed person who was working their way to the business person that I wanted to become. I wasn't just sure where and how that was all going to come together. But as I determined that, systems and processes were obviously a major component of that leap, it got through the, what the heck do I sell component to make that work. And when I started, I was like, what the heck do I sell? Well, I'm selling my time. How do I not sell my time? And for me, the most logical thing, I guess, maybe because I'm Gen X, I don't know, I wasn't fully raised on technology, right? Was selling the product itself, and not just the digital product, but actual physical products, tangible goods.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the connection between the marketing and online that I knew and could do very well, and the physical product branding, private label manufacturing side, where we actually made a product, a physical product we could sell, that just made sense. It like clicked. It's like a combination lock, right? It just kind of went click. And when that happened, I was like, oh, wow, I'm a full business owner. I own the marketing, I own the end-to-end, I own the profit and loss, I have the manufacturing control, I have the brand control. I could see the upside potential of this working, and with technology and systems that were growing very quickly in the early 2000s, to 2012, and by 2015, systems were growing extremely fast. That's when we hit our first seven figures. And really the technology, the social media, the platforms, and the mass distribution of consumerism based products and 2-day shipping with Amazon and all this stuff that happened really pushed us forward. And I'll tell you what really jolted the whole thing into overdrive, and that was 2020. There was 10
Yes.
years of hyper growth in the first 3 months of 2020. Not many people realize it because there were so many other things going on, but mobile phone purchasing surpassed desktop for the first time in the history of the internet during that time frame. And I don't think many people realize the exponential nature of growth that created.
Yeah, because now you can buy no matter where you are.
All the time, anywhere, 24/7, in your bed, click a button, and boom, it's there in 2 days or less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that's interesting. The pandemic was a challenge in a lot of ways, but there are a number of gifts that we got out of the pandemic.
It was a super growth time, a lot of social media use, a lot of people who hadn't purchased before, like my parents, were now online
They
purchasing.
had to.
Opened up this whole situation of growth that most people didn't understand. And with that also came sort of I'm going to call it the pure capitalistic agenda that isn't great about certain business or types when they take advantage of situations. And in that case, the logistics and freight management companies absolutely took advantage of the market and decided to start, raising the prices of shipping and containers and product movement from, what was about 4,800 on a loaded container, 40-foot high stack in 2019 December, to in around March or so, that same container was now $25,000. Yeah.
Wow.
So we had the hyper growth, we had the business problem. And that created, out of that necessity, created opportunity. Some people did not sustain that business. Others were able to sustain it. We were. Then you run into things in the last 10 months, 12 months with tariffs, and that's another major shift in this economic, movement of products and stuff we've had to deal with as well. But it's also created tremendous opportunity. The opportunity costs have changed. The complexity changed a little bit, but quite frankly, since we launched our first real brand in 2013, I have never seen another opportunity in the last 10 years as great as the one I'm looking at right now.
Well, say more about that. How is it that, because I understand how tariffs have, caused Walmart to close some stores, and the concern about rising prices,
Yes.
those kinds of things.
Yeah, and
How
tariffs
is
have
that?
affected some
How
aspects.
is Yeah? How is that an opportunity for you in the e-commerce space, or for our listeners?
So there's been a major growth in the Chinese manufacturing underlying delivery of the product just at the manufacturing level, but in the last 5 years, it's moved into the selling level as well. In fact, they've now just slightly overtaken the total of number of sellers that are on the e-commerce space and platforms like TikTok and Amazon. And that means US suppliers or product producers or brand creators are now slightly the minority. However, they do out earn the Chinese in terms of their direct to sell manufacturing through those platforms, but they don't pay the same amount of taxes we do and don't deal with the same logistic problems. Plus, they're doing a lot of other sketchy stuff. So, with that happening, it created this situation where there was a big unknown in the decision making of products and product movement. And when you have 20 to 60-day lead times on products, what you saw was a lot of corporations pull back and say they weren't going to order, or they drop products, or Amazon even dropped a bunch of its direct to consumer brands that it controlled. It literally shut them off while they tried to figure out what was going on. And in the expanse of that last 10 to 12 months, about 30% of the online sellers have dropped out of the market. But what
Mm,
people aren't recognizing with that turn is that the growing impressions per month has not changed. Like Amazon, just as one channel, has over 5 billion impressions a month with these 200 million Prime members, and that didn't stop. So
right.
those of us who are in the market, all that market share just opened up. And it's taken market share opportunity back to about 2013. And while Amazon is, in some ways they are troublesome apps. TikTok just got sold because they were also having some trouble dealing with the geopolitical and other nonsense. But now we're seeing it be a U.S. corporation, so it's very curious to see how that's going to potentially shift in the market as they're jockeying for position and competitive advantage in these marketplaces. And of course, you have your own website, but nobody really has their own traffic anymore these days. We all get it from somewhere.
Yep.
Social GPTs now, paid media, all these other platforms we're all, coexisting on really at the end of the day. So it's just creating this momentous change where market share is now easier to achieve faster in these marketplaces, especially with the really robust growing of AI tools, information, even shoppable agents, and a lot of the platforms that did not have AI integrated, tracking, customer need, customer intent, and social scorings are all now coming online in full force, jockeying for major position to try to overtake the market and become the leader of the AI systems. And so much of it is based on companies like NVIDIA, where there's trouble getting a lot of the product now. They're also running into resistance with the growth structure they're trying to keep up with the demand. And the demand for the consumerism on the product side has not changed, but the speed of implementation, the technology, and with AI has changed. The ability to reach that demand and even become more hyper relevant when you look at the way those systems work. Now, in my little P intellect, I'll explain it this way because again, I went public school and dropped out of college, so take this for what it's worth. But at the end here, we see that technology has grown the exponential ability to connect and create human social interactions at a speed that is quite incomprehensible, really, to where it was in just the last 10 years. When I was at IBM, we were working at 𝐅𝐫𝐽 for about a year on the Watson Super Blue computer, where we were training language models, human machine language learning models, the precursors to large language models, and that was 25 plus years ago. And with the understanding of all of those systems and technology, again, with my pea-sized intellect, I could see that these systems were going to be the way that this information moved, controlled, its intent, its outcome, its relationship to the customer, and all the free information we've been shoving into it for 20 years for all of our purchasing and our social media and conversations and everything we do online, to train these models to basically know who we are and have a very good understanding of the intent or outcome that we're looking for personally, or even in the products we're going to choose to buy, or don't even know we're going to choose to buy because it's something we need to do or are going to do, that some social signal was sent in some previous interaction where this model has now learned that I love camping, and it knows I'm probably going to go camping in the fall when I would normally have a pattern of going camping, and therefore it's going to start providing information and products that are aligned with my camping intent before I even go camping, right?
Or before you've planned even where you're going to go.
Before I even, so it's like it knows I have an intent to go camping. It's already starting to change the way the results and the engines work to that customer need and customer intent side, because it's learning, it's growing, and it's making logical conclusions to patterns of my behavior using the systems and everybody else that sort of looks like me. And it's very fascinating at the speed at which this is going. And
Yeah.
the rate at which it's increasing is going to put us into like a Minority Report situation where we're walking around and everything is hyper targeted advertising to us. And everything we see or do, even from online viewing with Prime and Twitch and Freevee and all the other online, stations people watch.
Well, and that's been going on with, places like Facebook and,
Oh, it's getting better and better. It's getting more
Yeah.
hyper targeted. Yeah.
Right.
It's getting more and more AI driven intelligence to push just in time information and, of course, products. When that's our benefit, right? As we look to the systems that do this,
Got it.
when people are looking at me and they go, "Oh, you sell physical products, right? Well, how do you market them and how do you engage them?" I'm like, "Well, actually, I don't. What I do is I market engage data sets to an AI algorithm that sells products to customers." So the systems of change and automation have really switched the way that we look at data relative to products. So we actually, in simple terms, sell data sets to AI engines in order for the AI engine to understand that we are the better product with the better benefits that should be the priority product for the customer. So that engine does its job automatically, putting as many customers or in customer intents in front of that data as it can come up with, not me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the if I'm following this,
Sure.
you have a product,
Yep.
and what you do is tap into the knowledge base of what has been collected over the last N years
Mm-hmm.
of people who are likely to want to buy this particular product,
Yep.
to do this particular thing at this particular price point at this particular time, right? And so by just laying out, hey, here's my new product, um, and contracting with those databases,
Yes.
pulling those, and it just it
Yeah, and
sort of
platforms like
sells
Amazon and stuff,
itself,
you
right?
got it 100%. Like platforms on Amazon, it's not that I'm launching a physical product. It's I'm launching a physical product's data set to an AI algorithm with the intent of it understanding that my product, as you astutely pointed out, meets the needs of those three just-in-time questions that every buyer psychology fits on a platform like Amazon, which is called a demand capture platform, right? It's capturing existing demand from knowledge, information, other platforms, other social media, other websites, even TikTok, and it's saying this is this demand for this particular product, and here are the kind of people we know that fit it. So my job is to basically get my data as close to Amazon's as possible for its customer need and intent, so that the engine goes, "Oh yeah, you're the better product." Here's a simple analogy. It's basically looking for data, unicorns in a data set. And we built an internal tool set and have a development team that builds custom tools for us. And out of that, we've created this tool set that defines Amazon's product opportunity explorer and its existing data that tells me exactly what's selling and how much and where and this kind of thing. And I built a process between that, an algorithmic process called Greenlight that goes in with our what we call our Cayman intelligence engine. And the Cayman intelligence engine massages all that data and basically says, based on intent, question, and output, there's a Coke selling a demand already in the market, and we've identified that there's no Pepsi. right? There's a CVS, but we've identified there's no Walgreens. There's a Walmart, but we see there's no Target. And we basically launch a Target, right? In so many words, we know the data is good. We know the demand. We know the price point, the profitability, the upside potential. We launch that product data set supported by 100 physical units of the actual product that will be delivered in 2 days or less to fulfill the contractual agreement of that algorithm selling the product to its customers, delivering it and supporting it. And we simply get that engine to understand through the images, copy, graphics, and a launch process of programming those engines to understand that our product is what it is. It is a comparable Pepsi to the Coke. So you're going to want to show this to these people if they like this one. And then we go over a certain period of time and basically train that engine to believe our product is the best. It isn't even about the product, right? When does it become about the product? When it's actually in the hands of the consumer. That's when it actually becomes about the product. If they like it and they want to leave a great review and it doesn't break in 5 minutes and they don't leave a negative review, then the whole process is successfully closed in the engine's mind. This was a successful transition. I found the right person. This is the right kind of audience. I'm going to go find 15 million more of those people and see how fast I can put your product in front of 15 million people. That's what it's doing, right? And it's doing it for me, right? So
So,
my job is to get it to understand all of those things.
so how do you figure out what to sell?
Yeah, what the heck to sell? It's taken about 12 years of data, improving and launching products and looking at all the results and building standard operating procedures into it. Our first real brand launched in 2013. We hit 7 figures around 2015 or so. Once you get past 1 million in sales, and once you see the response to that algorithm, and then we went back and started to look at processes for data and in launch processes, and then we trained a group of people, and those people started to launch products, and so we looked at their data and the way the algorithms were working and built a pattern of behavior. And what I discovered in that was the pattern of behavior of which we train the engine to find and show us which products as well as which products were having success came off of my days at IBM, because as it turns out, the first iteration of this engine was one in which we had developed the precursor to it when I was at IBM. And so as I looked at this training and watched this occur, I started to see the pattern by which the programmers were kind of training and learning the product and information data, and we created a launch process that basically matched that. In about the last 4 years, we adhered that slightly differently to now match up with that customer need and customer intent engines that are out across all social media platforms. TikTok has one, Amazon's is called Cosmo, and they're all, just in time information in front of a buyer as quickly as possible to get them to buy, because they've already made a decision. They just didn't realize it until they see it. Once they do, they're like, oh yeah, I need to get that. So we learned that process of what the heck do I sell by initially testing and going in and launching product tests to determine which size, shape, or variation would meet that customer demand, and then pull the data back and say, okay, what did we learn, and should we deploy more product into this? Well, it's actually gotten a lot more sophisticated than that now, because with my engine, my Cayman data engine, and Amazon's data, it literally just appears inside of my tool and tells me, here's the highest customer need rank for this product in demand at this area. And if you match these metrics that we've predefined into our algorithm, it goes green. It green lights the product, or it creates a yellow light, or it creates a red light. And so we literally can have now an entire list of products based on our engine that literally just tell me which product data sets are most in demand from Amazon, which ones meet the customer needs and the intent. And we simply test launch one of those products to find out how close we can get our brand to that buyer psychology through conversions. And once we get that data back, we go order more product.
So what do these products look like?
So you love ice cream?
Of course I love ice cream.
Who doesn't love ice
Who
cream?
does?
Who doesn't love it?
I know,
You
by the way, I have to tell you this. I'm a scientist, and so I can
ah,
prove to you that ice cream has no calories.
okay,
Like
right. Well, I know
would
ice
you like to
cream's
know?
healthy. Ice cream's totally healthy.
No. You know what? You know how because a
No,
calorie is a measure of heat. Ice
calories.
cream's cold.
That's very good. I'm gonna tell my kids you said that, because now they're gonna want more ice cream. So we have an affectionado for it, but we don't use dairy in our house. We use coconut milks and other things. My daughters have an allergic autoimmune response to
Yep, yep.
dairy and gluten and a whole lot of other things that we've spent 15 years sort of detoxing them out of. So we were looking for a way to create a healthy ice cream and make up a batch of different things And we have a really great recipe. And in the process of that, having to make it, churn it, freeze it, and go through that whole thing, we're like, well, this is a lot of work. Why don't we just build a machine or find a machine or innovate a machine that exists so that it will create this product for us? And that's what we did. We created a product called a Blizzi, which is basically a desktop countertop soft serve ice cream machine where you just mix up the ingredients and you pour it in the top and you click a button and in less than 30 minutes out pops soft serve. You just pull the handle and out you get soft serve. And it is doing extremely well because people love ice cream. And there's dairy and sugar-free recipes and coconut and oat milk alternatives and all the goodies. And we just launched that product coming up on 3 weeks ago. I've been publishing the results on my Facebook for people in full transparency to watch as we launch this brand in the market using our Cayman data engine, using our analytics, how we found it, and everything. We're doing 5,000 to 7,000 a day right now on that product. We're about to run out of inventory, so we're pushing for some innovative changes to kind of match up with some of the audience feedback. Product has been very good. Reviews are coming in extremely well. We can enhance the machine a little bit, make some innovations to it, order some more inventory, and we're going to blast through the end of this year. That business is on a 7-figure run rate right now. After 3 weeks, we keep that up for the next 60, 90 days. We'll have all the data we need necessary to understand how fast we need to continue to deploy capital in that business to see it turn into a $3 to $5 million business in about 5 years.
So when people come to you and they want to be coached and how do I do this, right?
Yeah.
Do they have to come up with their own product ideas?
No, not at all. Once upon a time, they had to, and we had a challenge to go out and get 500 products and go through a conditional methodology that was required based on that time to come to a conclusion of the green light process. But now, with my Cayman intelligence engine, we just literally go in there, put in some high level keyword ideas, and let the system basically tell me what is most in demand, has the greatest profit, has the greatest upside potential, and fits that data segment at what we call the tier 2 brand level for products that match your, Coke to Pepsi competitors. And at the tier 1 level, where a lot of sellers go fail terribly, we call that Amazon's mosh pit. That's tier 1, and that's selling any product $30 or less on the platform or across any platform at this point. And with that, we look at that gap and say, we don't want to compete with the CCCP. That's the cheap Chinese crappy products. So we're going to elevate tier 2 to tier 3 branding, $50 to $500 in retail price point, minimum net profitabilities, minimum ROIs of 50%. We want to see product data that is considered premium in level of brand and quality. And so at that point, the engine and the data set literally just makes the product appear. And when it appears, you go for the manufacturing process to validate you can hit the numbers, and then you test market the product to determine if you can help get the data, information, images, graphics, and copy, or the listing. It's called a web page basically on Amazon. They call it a listing, and make sure that you can actually sell that product correctly to that consumer or optimize that part of the business if you're not selling as fast because your data isn't quite aligned. And new people go through that process, and we help them go through it. But at this point, it is kind of point and click. On which products. We have a methodology by which you follow a 5x5 methodology. We also have a saying in our company, don't marry your products, steal somebody else's girlfriend instead, because there are millions of innovative product opportunities. And really, it's about the brand. That's the most important thing people should understand. They think the products, that's a myth. It's really about the data and then the product. They think that it has to do with volume-based opportunities. So they're not really thinking about the net profit, which is the really, total factor by which a business is ran. So each product must serve a purpose of net profit that rolls to a profitable brand. In the sunk cost fallacy area, if the product does not serve its purpose, then the product goes away, but the brand stays. That's where people get kind of caught. The brand stays forever, but the products have a life cycle. They always do. So we will constantly launch variations and innovations of product types until we discover the 1 to 2 that take off in the data set, okay, because they always will. As we get better with the avatar, do a little better with the optimization, figure out exactly what that audience and the engine are doing correctly. And once, we optimize that, the whole product line appears like a roadmap right in front of us. And we just put more and more of the same product on different packaging until our business is like a giant funnel of, say, 15 million people searching for ice cream makers each year who are looking for a particular brand they can trust, who want a specific kind of product output. And when they land in my brand, they're going to find one variation of that that works for them. And by that point, I'll have 10, 20, 50 or more SKUs to serve the need of every kind of ice cream maker looking person who comes in to buy a product from Blizzi. And then we will serve that market all the way through the exit of the business, which is the ultimate goal. It's called our platinum principle. When we get all these other things combined correctly, your opportunity is to build a business with the end in mind. That means the exit is greater than any time during the business building phase. All profits in years 1 and 2 are deployed back to the business to ensure growth and scalability of growth from years 2 to 3, which creates scale opportunities from years 3 to 5 or beyond if we're going to go into other channels, which we always will. So we incubate Amazon, we take it to TikTok and Shopify, and if it gets big enough, we'll take it to retail and open up the doors for retail, and then create a holistic multi-channel business model that has a very high exit potential. And our goal is to do that in 5 years.
Wow. So somebody wants to get started. I understand you have a free gift that you're willing to.
Yeah, for your readers, those who want to do some due diligence and go double check everything I'm saying, always encouraged in the process. And that is my book, Almost Automated Income with FBA. You guys can grab a copy of it. There's a link, I'm sure, here in the show notes. And in the first 10 users or first 10 signers can get a free copy of that. And really learn and read and understand the strategy of what I was telling you today. Because at the end, I can teach tactics to a 19-year-old high school dropout or a stay-at-home mom. That is not how the business runs. The business is run on the strategy of working on the business, not in it. But if you're going to start it, the book will teach you the strategy of implementing the steps necessary to really get the execution done correctly. It's 15 chapters of resources and information. It's part of what was on my podcast, interviewing experts in each area of vertical that ties to my playbook. So it's my commentary and their expert commentary on those chapters, and it ties together our entire 5x5 product launch playbook, which is part of our green light process for building and launching these multiple companies. And as I mentioned, Blizzi was one. You guys can check out the other case studies I've got going on. We have a coffee company called Ambrista that just launched. We're doing over 2,000 a day on that in the last 3 weeks. And we're doing close to $1,500 a day on a sheet brand called Linen and Lane that we just launched as well. So when my group and people who teach, and learn with us and grow with us, I show them exactly what we're doing and how to replicate those results, because here's the kicker. If they work with me for 12 months and we hit a performance goal, in 3 to 5 years, I am their exit. We partnered with a company called Patriot Growth Capital, which is a veteran-backed, veteran-funded, veteran-supported initiative to employ veterans into workable roles, train them and teach them, give them opportunities to either get out of the military or support them post-military for themselves and their family. And so we have a mission as a business, and that is to employ them into the companies that we acquire. So everybody who works with me, we take them to that business, and once they reach a saleable state within what we call our buy box, our purchasing box, we look to buy those companies away. I have first right of refusal to acquire those companies from them so that I can employ veterans into those businesses.
Wow, that's really great, Neil. And if somebody wants to get in touch with you to get started, what's the best way for them to reach out?
Yeah, again, always do your due diligence. Check out what's going on. Just to be very clear, anybody who works with me is in my team, is a one-on-one engagement for 12 months. This is not a course. This is not a program. This is a mentoring discipleship, just to be very clear. So when people go to like voltagedm.com, voltagedigitalmarketing.com, or check me out on social media or get a copy of the book or whatever, you'll speak to me. We'll talk about, an application process of qualification, because I've only had 300 people work with me in the last, 6 years now, 2019, that work on a one-on-one basis, because I'm only wanting to work with those who are the most serious, have the highest aptitude and of time, energy, attention, and money to get to a business that can exit in 5 years. That's not for everybody. But yeah, you can check us out on any one of those locations, and always encourage people to, watch out with what they're doing, do their due diligence, go look online. I have a short last name. It is Twa, T-W-A. He said Teeny Weeny Airlines, if I'm not mistaken, when we were at the green room. I've never heard that one before. That's super cool. Go check out the Teeny Weeny Airlines, and that's really me. Or look for Voltage online or whatever, and, do your due diligence. And if you want to have a conversation, let's have a conversation.
Great. Thanks. And that concludes our show. Thanks so much to my guest, Neil Twa, the CEO and co-founder of Voltage Holdings. I hope you learned something about how to create and grow your own e-commerce company. I know I did. Thanks for listening. You've been listening to the Profit Minds podcast. This is your host, Dr. Stephen 𝐘𝐻. Please visit www.profitminds.net for other episodes or to contact me. Thank you for your positive feedback, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others. Thanks for listening. Have a grateful day.